fires and strong winds tearing through Southern California. 10 News on the watch for you. On air and online the moment it started.
I won't be able to get home tonight.
The last station to sign off, keeping you informed into the night. The largest team on scene giving you critical information to make life-saving decisions.
Looks like hell on earth.
Plus, only 10 News is weather rate certified as San Diego's most accurate team, keeping you ahead of the changes morning to night. On air, online, on social media. Turn to 10 News. Stories that matter.
This is the whole area that is burning. This is the San Luis River Valley. This is as close as we're going to get for safety reasons. There are crews up and down 76 trying to put out the fire. This is, of course, part of the fire that started way back there at the 15 and the 76. But if you take a look across the highway, Highway 76, it's already jumped the freeway, and it is now encroaching and threatening this entire shopping center. I believe this is a theater area right here, movie theater. There are crews back here trying their best to put it out, but a whole lot of embers getting kicked up everywhere here, and it's looking pretty hairy, and it's just going to keep getting blown west because of this wind.
We move to another area of the Rancho Montserrat mobile home community where we've got homes actively on fire right now. We just saw this one a few minutes ago. The roof collapsed in. You can see those bright orange flames that have taken over this entire home. It is fully engulfed. There is not going to be much of anything left in there. And then look at this entire community. This is just complete devastation.
With this tractor, and horses. Now there are horses on the run in the middle of the smoke with a helicopter above it, hopefully about to make a drop. We're not sure exactly where this helicopter is in that process. What a scene that was with all of those horses. And of course, they're trying to clear out that area for them. They've not gotten those horses out, and a guy tilling the area, and we are just watching them in the smoke just run
Guys
run
in the
their
booth,
area.
if you can give us an idea of where this camera is located. Again, we do know that San Luis Training Center is in that area, and this is such a fantastic scene. One helicopter, now a second one that's coming in. That may be a spotter, but no, that actually is a water dropping helicopter. But there are a lot of stables, and as Jenny's been mentioning, this is an agricultural area. There's avocado groves in there. There's the wedding venue. There's the tons and tons of stables. But as you can see, they're using that dozer there to try and kick up some of the dirt and create maybe a fire line. But that is just such an amazing shot right there with those horses and that thick black smoke just behind them. You know they just have to be petrified.
It's a surreal scene.
This is what I'm talking about. Embers flew about a quarter to half mile away over to this hillside and immediately turned it into that lava effect that Steve referred to. It looked like lava, and now it's moving down closer towards Olive Hill Road here. That's where I'm at. I am just north of the 76 on Olive Hill Road, and this entire hillside keeps flaring up behind us. Now look to your right, my left up this hill. Adam Hilberry and the crew with Travis Rice were up this hill. They just booked it out of here because you can see all down this hill. It's orange, nothing but orange, flames going up this hillside. Now if you look over here to the right, I don't know if we can see, there's a neighborhood right here. There's a neighborhood, there are nice homes inside this, on the other side of this wall. I can see over this wall, there's orange on the hillside over there. There's orange on the back side. I know there are firefighters all over the place coming in through here. Now let's come back over here. Adam, can you zoom in on this hillside where it looks like the lava that Steve Atkinson was referring to? Steve, look at that. That is the lava that it looks like lava. The entire hillside just burning. And the embers, I don't know if it's easy to see. Can you guys see the orange embers floating through the sky?
Yes.
They're floating through the air. Those are the embers, Kim, Steve, those are the embers they talk about can go 5 feet to up to a mile away. That's where this is getting out of control. Those little demon embers can go a mile away. That starts a spot fire, and that spot fire starts another one of these things. So, yeah. It's unbelievable being out here, and the heat, guys, it is amazing how hot it is out here.
When disaster struck, more San Diegans turned to 10 News than any other source.
We've actually been watching Channel 10 because it seems like that's where we're getting most of the news.
Keeping you informed is our job, but we're also part of this community.
Volunteers pouring in all morning.
San Diego comes together in good times and in bad.
I just saw on the news that they needed help.
And throughout it all, 10 News is with you.
10 News people are here volunteering today.
Emergency food relief for families that have evacuated.
Experience the difference every day. 10 News, stories that matter.
They were celebrating a birthday. Now they're the faces of another mass shooting.
I need to figure out what's going on with the rest of my friends.
And the mystery behind this monster in a lawn chair taking an even darker turn as we find out he forced his ex-girlfriend to listen to the deadly gunshots.
It is a story that has gained national attention, and hour by hour we're getting new details about what happened in that University City pool.
Now, we have actually gotten some new video into our 10 newsroom. I want you to take a look at that. It gives us a closer look at that shooter, Peter Sellis, and exactly what he looked like yesterday as that shooting was happening.
At 6:13, the first officers arrive on the ground and in the air. Able helicopter spots the suspect.
He's aiming to the north. He is, I don't know who he's shooting at this point.
Officers described the scene in graphic detail over the radio. Gunman Peter Sellis was sitting in a lounge chair firing.
He's shooting over towards these people right now. He's shooting at somebody on the phone.
The police chief says Sellis was on the phone himself, talking to his ex-girlfriend. He apparently wanted her to hear the shots.
It sounds like an active shooter.
Police Chief Zimmerman says officers in the helicopter guided officers on the ground.
Okay, he's going to be up over that wall on the far side of the pool from you.
Police say officers located the shooter. He fired at them. They fired back, killing him. With the shooter down, the call for extra cops is canceled, and the call goes out instead for more ambulances.
Any other officers coming can disregard or drop code. All we need is medics coming in here.
And we talked to a woman whose cousin is one of 4 people inside that hospital right now. And I have to tell you, as people come and go, they can't help but collapse in each other's arms.
We're all sitting at the pool. It's our friend's birthday party.
Haley Thames says the killer sat down and cracked open a beer.
You just hear a pop.
Then one after another as the pool party gave way to a bloodbath. Some dropped to the ground as others started to scatter. But Thames turned around and saw her cousin had taken a bullet to each leg.
I had to go get her because she was still in the pool. And I just look over and he's reloading another clip.
She says amid the chaos and carnage, he kept calm. Instead of running to save themselves, Thames and her friend scrambled to save the women he shot.
That's when we just started putting them on our backs and we're just running them out.
They carried them to safety and flagged down a security guard. They say he emptied his car and got 3 victims to first responders. Thomas Blea was one of them.
And when I get the chance to see him, I'm going to give him thanks in person. But that guy saved us a lot of time.
They're calling the security guard a hero. Meanwhile, Thames ran back, hoping to help more people.
They were still on the ground, and now one of our friends hurt.
And at times, it's almost too much for her heart to handle.
Sudden panic and chaos in the aftermath at Chicano Park. Cell phone video on the ground shows the terrifying scene as rescuers work frantically to save people.
I've experienced some accidents in my life, but nothing like this. Nothing so close and nothing so just gruesome, you know.
Andy Mendez, one of what may have been thousands of witnesses who in this huge crowd watched it unfold. Like so many others, he's emotional. Mendez describing what was a sunny Saturday afternoon, listening to music.
Just happy, just going on with the day.
Interrupted abruptly when that truck careened off the Coronado Bridge onto a tent below. A vendor, people inside selling T-shirts and other things, the same friendly strangers who Mendez says he had been chatting up all day, sitting in a lawn chair right next to them.
There are some people that lost their lives here. I could have probably been right there with them.
Breaking overnight, officers doing everything they can to wake up a suspected drunk driver on the 805.
You can see them rocking the car. They were banging on the windows. They even put down spike strips in case the car started rolling. 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala live in Mountain View. Mimi, that was a very dangerous situation.
It really was. That man is so lucky no one was hurt and he wasn't hurt. This is at the 805 and Imperial off-ramp where he was passed out behind the wheel right there waiting for that light to turn green when he fell asleep. Officers say the call came in around 3. They got here at 3:05, started banging on his windows, trying his door handles, anything they could to try to wake him up.
Wake up, sir.
Only our 10 News breaking news tracker was here as officers threw down those spike strips in front of the tires in case that driver were to suddenly take his foot off the brake and start driving off. But he was passed out in such a deep sleep, officers had to bang on the windows and shake the car over and over again. Then they tried yelling.
Park! Put the car in park!
10 News this morning continues right now with breaking news. A fire tearing through a home in Mission Hills, burning for at least an hour now.
The neighbors, they huddled in the street and watched the roof cave in. 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala there live. So Mimi, what have you figured out in the last half hour?
Yeah, guys, well, firefighters are still working non-stop to put this fire out. You can see that there's still some flames burning right up there.
Let me explain what happened. A driver says it started when a man ran out in front of his car on the ramp. He swerved to miss the man, but was then hit by the black truck you see with the back taillight flashing. Boom! Right there. This was the one car that didn't avoid the truck. They were going door to door looking for his parents, hoping that the little boy might be able to leave them. Good Samaritan spotted the little boy on Meade Avenue, called 911. Police again continued to go through the neighborhood, hoping that maybe the little boy would recognize his home, but they had no luck there. Only on 10 News, this is what happened next.
He's not coming up. You do what you're told. Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
Yeah, he's caught on one of the spikes of the fence. Police eventually got him off, but they tore his jeans in the process to get him down.
This really was a nightmare accident out here around 2:30 this afternoon. This 18-wheeler behind me here was heading on the 125 south from the 8. It crashed through the center divide, all through that twisted metal you see there, across the 125 north, through this concrete barrier and onto the transition ramp that's heading up to the 8 east. That 18-wheeler then collided with this green car you see right here. CHP tells me 2 people died in that car. There were 2 people inside the cab. They only have minor injuries. Now, over here to your left, there's this gray SUV. CHP says there were 4 people inside this vehicle. One of them, a young child about 6 years old, is we're told is seriously injured. There was another young girl that we saw a Heartland firefighter holding after the accident. He held on to her quite gingerly until the ambulance arrived. They took the little girl to the hospital.
As a journalist, there are some stories that impact you more than others.
I was feeling like I deserved the pain.
Bullying is one issue that really concerns me, especially becoming a new parent.
It feels like something sharp going to your heart.
As Team 10 investigators, we're not afraid to stand up to bullying, helping you understand it and talking to your kids about it.
Make it less hurtful.
Be part of the conversation. All this week on 10 News at 6. Stories that matter.
My name's Matthew York. I am 14.
Matt says the bullying began in 3rd grade.
I seemed to kind of be a target, which I don't really know why.
He tells me it started with words, finger pointing, laughing. By the time he hit 5th grade, things got physical. Matt says he was shoved out of a chair.
You fall, you hit the floor, and I just kind of looked up, and they were laughing.
A year later, the summer before his transition, the transgender teen says the anxiety and depression became too much.
I was hurting myself, and...
What do you mean?
Cutting.
Cutting became Matt's outlet.
A lot of people were, you know, they make fun of you. They want you to hurt. So I figured this is what they want, so I obviously deserve it in some way or another.
Team 10 first exposed a squatter taking over a widow's home, forced out, arrested, now a search for justice.
Be very careful who you take into your home.
Team 10 gets results. See what happens when the squatter answers to criminal charges. Tonight at 6 on 10 News.
Movie
moving day on Prosperity Lane. Friends and family pitching in to help this woman, 71-year-old Cheryl Sherrill, who looked on and decided what to put on the truck and what to leave behind. It wasn't your average move. Police officers were there to keep the peace after a year-long tug-of-war over whether Sherrill should live in this purple house owned by 91-year-old Fran Breslauer. Breslauer hired Sherrill to care for her ailing husband, Alan, who died a year ago. Since then, the two women waged a bitter war over Sherrill's continued residency.
This was her home. She lived here. Her life has been in disarray since this, and she's happy to go ahead and retrieve some of her stuff.
That's Sherrill's criminal attorney. He was hired after she was taken from the house in handcuffs. After her arrest in October, a judge ordered Sherrill to stay away. Now, more than 3 months later, the woman who was once featured on an episode of Hoarders Buried Alive is reclaiming her stuff. A lot of stuff.
This tiger cub, discovered being smuggled across our border, the cute face of a dark business with high demand for illegal animals as pets.
They're bred for nothing more than profit.
10 News taking you inside the billion-dollar black market. Tonight at 11 on 10 News.
Who could resist that face? Imagine the shock for customs officers when they found this little guy during inspection at the Otay border crossing.
There it was right there on the floor of the car, a tiger cub.
Here at the Otay Mesa border, between the foot traffic that you see behind me here and the vehicles, this is the biggest international crossing in the United States. In fact, more people come through Otay Mesa and San Ysidro than JFK and LAX combined, and you wouldn't believe some of the stuff they try to bring in.
We see a lot of unusual things.
Birds, reptiles, all kinds of animal products are confiscated daily.
It's sad. I mean, we're talking about a living thing here, and we all care about that. And then the people are smuggling them in, obviously for profit.
The little tiger cub was bought in Mexico for just $300. He's worth about $1,500 here in the United States.
Not surprised at all.
Bobby Brink with Lions, Tigers, and Bears Animal Rescue in Alpine is very familiar with the problem of animal smuggling. She says this is not an isolated incident and is perpetuated by tourist traps.
They're bred for nothing more than profit, and they pull the babies from the mom before they're even 8 to 10 days old, before their eyes are open.
Brink is talking about tourist photo ops with tiger cubs in places like the Havana Banana south of Ensenada. For a fee between $35 and $60 that supposedly goes to big cat conservation efforts, tourists can enter a cage full of cute little tiger cubs to pet and take photos. We were there on a day when one of the cruise ships was in port, and it was packed.
It's really sad because they lie to the public and they tell you it's conservation or they're a sanctuary or they're rescuing these animals. They're not rescuing babies.
A girl denied a school trip to Disney because she's in a wheelchair.
No, you're not going. There's no ramp for the bus.
And she says it's not the first time.
I felt upset, very upset, but kept it in.
How her story could impact thousands of other students. Tonight at 6 on 10 News.
This is the only thing
going down, Mama,
that makes 14-year-old Madison Wilanik's ride to school different from anyone else's.
Bye, Madison.
Bye.
Madison's very easygoing. She's always been really pleasant. She's, it's never been like she's high maintenance or, has to be sequestered and bundled and all kinds of behavioral outbursts or anything. She's very good.
Madison does have a one-on-one aide who does everything from picking up dropped pencils to helping with assignments.
I want her to have as much of a regular experience as all the other kids get.
One morning in February, it was anything but regular. Madison's stepmom met the bus to tell the driver she'd be late to school because of a doctor's appointment.
And he said, why? She's not going to Disneyland? And we didn't know anything about the trip. Like, what trip to Disneyland? No permission slip. Never heard about it, nothing. So.
Don't be fooled by the constant smile on Jean Wilanik's face. Madison's dad was furious.
I guess that's my coping mechanism, that or break something.
Wilanik called the vice principal of Hilltop Middle School.
He just said, very matter of fact, well, there's 100 students going, so we couldn't get the lift for the bus, so that's why Madison's not going.
Madison had never mentioned the trip or the one she says happened a year earlier. She didn't get a permission slip for that one either. When her dad asked about it, what she told him next made his blood boil.
So I'm handing out the permission slips, and I asked Coach, "Hey, Coach, why is mine not in there?"
And the principal asked me to have Madison write a statement of events, what happened in her own words.
And he told me why I was not going on the trip because the bus has no lift.
Even after the Chargers said goodbye,
Get him out of here!
10 News uncovers an expensive Qualcomm Stadium upgrade still in play.
$600,000 is a good chunk of change. I mean, that could pay for quite a few things.
When 10 News asked about the $500,000 plus investment, the mayor canceled the project.
We've got to make sure we're spending our money in the right ways.
Looking out for your tax dollars, getting results.
Thanks, Jonathan.
10 News, stories that matter.
In fact, the venue's days appear to be numbered, but the city was still about to embark on a more than $500,000 upgrade to the stadium. That's until I brought it to the mayor's attention.
You have to look at it and see if it makes sense, to see if it makes sense for taxpayers.
That's what Mayor Kevin Falconer told me when I questioned him about a plan to spend nearly $600,000 to install fiber optic cables to enhance Qualcomm Stadium's high-definition programming output. A city spokesman confirmed this week that the project would start within 2 months, even with the Chargers officially gone and public officials discussing tearing down the stadium.
Opportunity for a river park, opportunity for the university to be involved, both Aztec football, potentially MLS, a lot of great ideas right now.
The mayor left the interview saying he'd look into the project. He didn't have to for long. About 10 minutes later, his spokesman asked me to come back to City Hall for another interview because the mayor is halting the installation.
That's not a good use of dollars to move forward with, particularly as we're planning on the future of Qualcomm and the entire site.
Hundreds of animals displaced after Hurricane Harvey. Only 10 News' Joe Little travels 1,500 miles with dozens of cats and dogs from Houston to San Diego.
Great stories here.
In search of a new home. Stay with 10 News all day. Stories that matter.
It's the end of a crazy day, but the beginning of a better life. It has to be good when an airline captain carries you off your first flight.
How many more do we have up there?
64 cats and dogs, including these tiny kittens, are looking for a home so far from home. Their journey began before the sun came up in Houston, Texas.
Snap, Crackle, and Pop, and Lucy Lou.
Those 4 kittens joined 33 cats.
Cats! Cats! More cats!
And 27 tired dogs for a chance to find a forever home for themselves and someone else.
They're getting a chance, and they're getting a home, and they're gonna have lots of love.
Robin McNeil fostered Snap, Crackle, Pop, and Lucy Lou. But she's sending them off to San Diego with a smile.
Because every time I say goodbye, I know I can take more in.
Texas needs more room. There's no room in animal shelters.
Come on, babies.
And there aren't enough foster families like Robin to take care of these guys and the hundreds now left homeless by Hurricane Harvey.
And we got a couple more ready to load up.
That's why San Diego's Helen Woodward Animal Center started work on the logistical nightmare of taking these shelter and foster animals to San Diego to make room for Houston's pets and hopefully some happy reunions.
Without that, they might not have a place to go.
Oh.
SeaWorld San Antonio donated 5 vans and 12 employees.
We want to help animals, no matter if it's the ones in the oceans or the ones that are on land.
I've never seen anything like it in my entire life.
You got it? They drove all 64 pets 3 hours to Austin, Texas,
10.
where TSA weighed every animal and cleared them for a private flight donated by Southwest Airlines.
It feels good to be able to do this.
Pets don't always outnumber passengers on flights to San Diego.
It's not easy to organize something like this.
It isn't, but the crazy day is worth it to give Snap, Crackle, Pop, and Lucy Lou a chance in California, making room for someone else to have a better life in Texas. With photojournalist Adam Hilberry, Joe Little, 10 News.
On the outside, it looks like a porta potty, but on the inside, it's actually a tiny home. I'm Steve Atkinson, and I'll tell you about one man's vision to try and solve the homeless problem and quite possibly create a whole new housing trend for the future.
Tonight on 10 News at 11.
New tonight, take a look at this, and what do you see? Most would say a porta potty, but the Southern California man sees a solution to curb our homeless problem. How? By turning this portable toilet into a tiny home. Here, in this warehouse, an artist collective south of downtown Los Angeles.
It's always impressive to see that, those elements of counterculture popping up.
Sits what may be one of the most unlikely ideas to end homelessness.
I call it the Porta Home.
That's TK Devine, creator of the tiny toilet home. And before you laugh, just give it a listen.
I don't think it's for everybody. I think there are folks out there, though, that will see this in action and might start to think about applying it to their own lives.
Still not convinced?
Cool.
Let's take a look inside. There's a mini kitchen.
Portable stove here that I can set up.
A small fridge powered by the sun.
Now, we will have solar panels on the roof of this.
Shelving, a nightstand. Out back, a separate gray water toilet and shower. And of course, a bed. And if you just so happen to have guests.
It was intended to be built for two.
Still think it's absurd? Well, consider the number of homeless in San Diego County is over 9,000. With the average rent well over $2,000 a month, that number is likely to grow. But where do you put these tiny porta homes? Devine found the answer just driving around L.A.
What I saw is an abundance of available residential space in L.A.
His vision is to utilize abandoned, dilapidated lots and backyards of homeowners willing to share their own space for these temporary houses on wheels.
Converting a space like this into something that's almost completely independent is something that I think a lot of landowners and homeowners can accept on their property.
And to prove it can work,
you're actually going to live in this for a year and then travel around Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm going to be the resident full-time for a year. The idea is that I want to model this behavior for other folks to prove that it works.
Inside this journal,
I know someone knows them.
A mystery couple's love story.
I feel like a detective.
For 6 years, one stranger tracking them down.
I got a lead.
Why he's convinced someone in San Diego has the missing piece. Maybe even you. Tonight at 11 on 10 News.
The journal starts at 2006 and ends in 2007. So it's about 18 months of love letters between Brent and Laura.
Brent and Laura, two people.
In Colorado, there's snow in the background. They're wearing Viking hats and they look like they're very happy there.
For the past 6 years.
6 years. I feel like a detective.
He's been trying to find.
I just hit dead end after dead end after dead end.
Until now. A new clue he's never noticed.
It says up top here, Winston and Megan's wedding. The entry was 2007, so I Googled Winston and Megan's wedding 2007. And I got a hit. I got a lead.
In custody, booked, handcuffed, then this.
Getting hit from all directions.
Slammed, punched, and kneed, all on video.
You're really hurting me badly. Please stop.
Team 10 investigates a full story behind this violent San Diego jailhouse video. Tonight on 10 News at 6.
It starts with a violent takedown, followed by knees to the body and the head area. Closed fist punches to the face. This video given to Team 10 was taken in what's known as the Sally Port at San Diego Central Jail. The video shows San Diego County deputies dishing out the body blows. The man taking them, Joshua Strode.
I kept on trying to tell him, you're really hurting me badly. Please stop.
While this scene ended with Strode laid out on a stretcher, spit mask over his face, the day began much different.
I was actually on the street right next to SDSU. Okay. And the cops roll on us.
San Diego State Police arrested Strode earlier that day for being drunk in public and hauled him off to jail. That's where this video begins. You can see Strode handcuffed up against a wall.
The officer was helping me keep my pants up because they took my belt.
Fast forward about a minute. It looks like the officer starts to take the handcuffs off. We can't hear what's being said, but a door opens and a deputy enters the picture. According to a San Diego County Sheriff's Department officer report obtained by Team 10, the deputy claims he observed Strode yelling incoherently and had erratic movements of his body.
He says, put your hands behind your back. I say, I can't, my clavicle's broken, and before he could even finish that sentence, next thing you know, it's just violence.
Strode's thrown to the floor. More deputies rush in.
From popping pills to heroin to the morgue.
So many people are here earlier than they should be.
Opioid deaths inside San Diego morgues.
It's like playing with a loaded gun.
Why we're seeing record levels. Tonight at 11 on 10 News.
You might wake up in the morning and be like, I almost died last night. But here we go again.
He grew up in an affluent neighborhood in San Diego's North County. He said, like most everyone in his group of friends, he started using drugs at 14. Over time, he was too spun out to get out.
I went to a different treatment center, and I was loaded within 3 days after leaving that place.
Loaded, numb, disconnected to everything around him.
And I know people who have held people in their arms while they've died of an overdose, and they're shooting dope the next day.
Opiate overdoses are now the #1 reason for unintentional deaths in the U.S.
You go to sleep and you don't wake up.
San Diego County's chief medical examiner, Dr. Glenn Wagner, gives me an exclusive look inside his world.
It doesn't take much for some combination, either in excess or in combination with alcohol, to guarantee you a premature visit to this place.
MTS bus doors smacking riders.
Boom, jackknife. You know what jackknife means.
She says she was seriously hurt and is now warning others.
It didn't just get my elbow, it got my whole body.
Team 10 investigates the hundreds of MTS bus door incidents. Tonight on 10 News at 6.
The bus comes just around the corner here.
Nancy Cascaden says she hasn't owned a car in nearly 2 decades. Her mode of transportation, the bus. It helps her get around town and to see her family.
Drivers are very cordial. They're very helpful.
Nancy can't say similarly kind words about the bus doors. She gave us this video showing her getting on an MTS bus near 54th and University last July. Watch as the door opens, then swings back toward her, hitting Nancy in the arm.
It decides it's going to shut. And it just goes boom, jackknife.
On the video, you can hear the driver say, I don't know why it does that.
It doesn't open all the way. No, it starts and then comes back.
Oh, it was so painful. I felt nauseated. I was just, oh my.
Nancy filed a claim with MTS. The transit agency rejected that claim, saying her loss was not the result of any negligence on the part of MTS. But they did offer her a year-long bus pass in exchange for a signed release of all claims.
I'm thinking, right, whose good gesture?
K-9 takedowns caught on police body cams. And this incident cost San Diego taxpayers hundreds of thousands.
These guys, they did just about everything wrong.
Team 10 investigates SDPD, asking, are the police dogs worth the expense? Tonight at 11.
Put one on. Put one on. The moment the San Diego Police Department's K-9 officer took down Eduardo Rodriguez is the moment attorney Brody McBride believes this mental health call response went from bad to worse.
You know, these guys, they did just about everything wrong.
McBride is Rodriguez's attorney. He said Rodriguez's wife called the police department's non-emergency line requesting help from the Psychiatric Emergency Response Team, or PERT. Instead, 2 officers showed up, not members of the PERT team.
Sir? Wait. What? What's going on here?
Get on the ground now! McBride says after a few minutes of back and forth pulling between Rodriguez and the officers, the K-9 unit arrived. The officers let go of Rodriguez, and the police dog was released.
This is how these officers respond to this. I find that just inexcusable.
When weather becomes the big story, watch for the 10 News breaking weather alert.
We've got another powerful storm that is on us.
We already have a problem every single time.
Rain and wind.
Here's what's happening right now.
10 News, weather rate certified, San Diego's most accurate forecast.
There's the atmospheric river. Farther up to the north, it's an all-day event. For us, though, we're going to be zooming in, and we're going to talk about 6, 7 o'clock right along the coastline. That rain is going to really start to pick up. If you're at the coast, if you live along the coastline, I would suggest getting home and off the roads before 6 p.m. tomorrow. If you're in the inland areas, I suggest getting home and off the roads. Don't go to dinner. I know it's Friday night. Cancel your plans. Schedule them for Saturday or Sunday. get off the roads and be home by 7, 8 o'clock because this rain is coming. Look at this, 8:30. Look at that solid line of red. That's what's going to be pushing through. That's when our best chance for thunderstorms is going to be.
The worst storm of the season, pounding San Diego right now.
With those strong winds sending this tree crashing down, slicing that home in half.
But we begin with breaking news. This is on the southbound 15, one person dead when a car hydroplanes across the freeway. Brian Shlonsky just got updated on that situation unfolding right now in Mira Mesa. Brian.
Yeah, Steve, and I take it you see this live picture coming in from the 10 News breaking news tracker just approaching this. This is on the 15 South right at Mira Mesa. We now know this storm has killed somebody here in San Diego. Multiple cars involved in this. 3 people also in the hospital. Here's what happened. We're hearing that one of those cars hydroplaned across the freeway, then hit 4 other cars, sending 3 people to the hospital, killing another person.
So this happened about 3 this afternoon. This is the branch that just crashed through the roof. The residents here say that their neighbor's tree fell over, and that's when the branch cracked off and went inside the home. If we take a look at some video now, we can see that tree that's behind in the backyard, actually. It's a huge tree. It just came on over. Luckily, no one was inside the home. Again, the homeowner in total disbelief when this happened.
Well, we kind of walked around a little bit, showed the neighbors, weren't really sure what to do, called the landlord and told him, and he got in his car and headed down here, and we just kind of sat on the garage and chatted with neighbors for a while because, you know, what can you do?
Now, severe thunderstorm warning is our hot topic right now because this is going to create a lot of problems. So we'll continue through 6:45 for much of the county, from Encinitas all the way down to San Diego, extending into Poway, El Cajon. And this is where we're seeing some steady, heavy rain right now. But we're still waiting for the next batch of heavier rainfall to move through. And when you see these bands of darker colors, there could be rainfall at about 1 inch per hour. Also, very strong damaging winds associated with that line of storms as it moves closer to the county. So this is going to be impacting pretty much everyone. Already making its way into San Clemente, but eventually it's going to be over Oceanside, most likely within the next 15 minutes. The track is going to be targeting everyone throughout the county. So this is not just north or south. This is everyone.
San Diego has always been my home. I was raised here. I went to school here. I played soccer here. I went to the beaches during the summer, and I'm so lucky to be living and working here. My class used to be over there. Becoming a meteorologist was my best choice, and getting to work here with all the microclimates of San Diego is a dream come true. We are seeing a little bit of rain. I feel really lucky to be able to forecast here and live here and experience all of it with you.
We love this city. We love where we live. We're privileged to live here, not just because of the 72 and sunny weather that we see in San Diego all the time, but this is home. We passionately stand up for the people of San Diego. We're members of this community just like you are. We have children who go to the schools here.
I will eat them anywhere.
San Diego's home, and I try to cover the stories that matter to us in an honest and balanced way.
Happening today, the San Diego Police Department.
This is our home, and we're proud of San Diego.
Right now there's a campaign called Fuel for Summer, and it's an awesome campaign that every year has been growing, and basically what it is thousands of kids lose access to school meals. I don't think people realize that when summer starts, all these kids that got free or reduced lunches at school lose that for the whole summer.
All right, guys, we're getting ready to go. Today's our last lunch day together.
And they have had this all summer long. It's Monday through Friday, 12 to 1. And the kids come, they line up in front, they get their ticket, and then they get to come in, and every day is different. Today's pizza day, which is very exciting.
There you go. Nice hot pizza for you. You're welcome.
The goal of this is to get people to understand. I don't think people even realize that these kids lose access to lunches, and the donations is what's the key here, because that keeps the food coming.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
Ready for some books?
Oh, yeah.
Read.
Yeah, we went to a group of second graders and they were amazing.
Did you see their faces?
I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere.
It's a good way to celebrate Dr. Seuss's birthday with not only reading to them, but having them read with us.
And probably the most classic Dr. Seuss book there is, Green Eggs and Ham, you know?
I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam.
You know, you look at their faces, they were beaming, and I think they were really thrilled just to have
adults come in and share something with them.
And we're big kids too. We still love all these books. And being in class again, it's like being in second grade all over again.
You see the little chairs?
I do not like them, Sam, I am. You guys are so good.
Yeah. It never gets old, huh? Going to these classes and reading to
Never.
these kids. Yeah.
I'm going to one next week.
Explore, experiment, and enjoy. The San Diego Science Expo is back.
A free day of fun for the entire family. Science comes to life at over 100 hands-on exhibits.
Robotics, the environment, chemistry, gross and gooey experiments. You can even learn about our favorite subject, weather.
Don't miss an amazing festival week of science wonders. Come play. Science is fun. Stop by the 10 News booth to see what it's like to be on TV.
Join ABC 10 for Science Expo Day, Saturday, March 4th at Petco Park.
I'm meteorologist Megan Perry, and science is fun. It's so fun, in fact, that you can make a cloud, and that's what we're going to do today. So here's what you're going to need. You'll need a glass jar, some hot water, boiling hot water if you have it, so kids, make sure your mom and dad are helping out with that. A lid that fits over the jar, some ice cubes, and a can of hairspray. So what we're gonna do is take your hot water and put it in the glass jar. Then take your ice cubes, put them on the lid, and cover the jar up. So you have hot water underneath cold air, and that's an unstable atmosphere. So this part you have to do quickly. Shake up your can, we're gonna spray it in and close it off. So you have warm air that is rising. As warm air rises, it's condensing. Why add hairspray? Because it mimics dust particles in the atmosphere, which gives those water droplets something to grasp onto, and a cloud starts to form. You take the lid off, you can see the warm air rising, and there's your cloud. Pretty cool. I hope you had fun making a cloud with me, and I hope to see you at Science Expo Day this Saturday at Petco Park, where you can learn about all types of science, including weather.
There's nothing like spending a day on San Diego Bay. Enjoy the view with me by walking in the Live Well San Diego 5K. Every person who walks supports the San Diego Blood Bank and helps people such as...
She was about 2 weeks old when I found out she had sickle cell disease. Please come out and donate, not just for Selena, but for other children with different diseases going on who need blood. It is very, very important that you come out and donate. It saves lives and it helps.
Register to walk or run. Visit 10news.com today.
Long story short, we ended up taking him to the hospital and we found out that his white blood count was exceedingly high and that his blood panel was consistent with someone that had leukemia. That was on July 14th of 2016, 3 days after he turned 4. No matter what, when you have a kid and you bring a kid into the world and you look at that baby and you have all these hopes and dreams for them, and you just never expect that anything that can ever happen to your kid that you can't control. And this by far has been the worst thing that's ever happened. I'm sorry. He hangs in there with that stuff. I mean, like right here, he gets his chemo with a superhero mask on. When it comes to them telling you, hey, right now your kid's getting hooked up and they need blood. What do you mean? What do I do? No, hold on. We've got to go down, or we've got to have a blood order on tap, and it's just a lot of complex stuff. And we are absolutely very thankful for people that care enough or have the ability to donate blood, because if they didn't, my baby just wouldn't be here. And that's the God honest truth.
I marched for my granddaughter, Kennedy.
Every baby deserves a fighting chance. Walk with ABC 10 News, March of Dimes, and Live Well San Diego on April 22nd at Oceanside Pier and April 29th in Balboa Park.
I march for my son, Jax.
Sign up for free today. Go to 10news.com. It's up to us to take the first step.
We march for our twins. I march for Zachary. For my son, Riley.
March for babies.
We got the diagnosis of girl, really excited. In the next breath, the technician said, I'm gonna get the doctor. Okay, not what you anticipate hearing when you're gonna find out if it's boy or girl. The doctor came in and the doctor said, I need to tell you that your baby has spina bifida. And we started crying.
Christopher's coming.
I see you.
So she was a teeny tiny little just bean in my tummy, and her spinal cord was already growing outside of her back. And then a cyst forms over the spinal cord to protect it.
When 10 News and Feeding San Diego partner up to help end hunger, we bring a little San Diego style. The annual month of $1 million meals donation drive is back. You never know who will answer the line.
What's your name, your full name?
Phones open from 4 to 8. Watch today, only on 10 News.
Knowing that there was a service that cared enough about me to provide that for me, knowing that when I came in I would leave with a lot of really healthy food that I really appreciated. And to me it wasn't just food, it was like, you know, you saw what we had here. It was special food. You know, it made me feel good. It made me feel good about myself. It made me feel good about what I was providing for myself and the opportunity that it presented. I know what it did for me. I know what it did for me, and if there's any way possible I can do that or help do that with one other person, I'm there.
It's emotional.
Yeah. It's transformational.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, San Diego.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for helping us.
In the fight to end hunger in San Diego.
Together, we raised over 3 million meals for San Diegans in need.